Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, rolling out hour number 2. Sharp and Shapiro, so glad you could join us. We always love having people in studio that are running for office, whether that be on the right or the left. Doesn't really matter to me, and we always love to introduce these people to all of you and ask them the questions about policy and important questions that are going on in this country right now. And the guy joining us in studio right now, his name is Sam Peters. He's a Republican running for Congress for Nevada District 4. He's hoping to be able to debate Stephen Horsford. And you've got a pretty cool resume. Criminal Justice Administration from Park University, BS in that in 2001, MS in Administration from Central Michigan University back in 2005. He also graduated from the Air Force Air Command and Staff College in 2011. And he worked at the Air Force as an office in manpower and personnel from 2002 to 2013. That sounds like a much more important job than what I have right now. Anyway, Sam joins us in studio. Sam, thank you so much for being here.
More important.
Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I
Sure,
appreciate it.
you
Yeah,
bet.
absolutely.
All right, so let's start with the billion-dollar question, right?
Okay.
Why are you the guy to defeat Stephen Horsford if you can get to that point? Why are you the guy that should take his place and take that seat?
Look, Stephen Horsford is an absentee congressman. The Constitution, the forefathers, they put this Constitution together with the intent of citizens running the country and representing the people that live in their districts or in their communities. That's not happening. I spent 20 years in the military.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
My pleasure. Not just the period of time that you talked about, but I deployed to the Middle East 4 times.
Wow.
I got a Bronze Star out of Afghanistan. I fought for our rights. Okay. I'm a business owner now. I'm a family guy now. I give back to the community through numerous philanthropic areas, and I'm a board member. I was a board member on our local Rotary chapter. I've been on homeowner association boards. I get community. I understand it. I love our country, and I think we deserve better.
Well, the fact that you served, as I said, thank you for your service. That's huge. And I have said this, the presidency all the way down. I want more people that served to be running for office and representing me, because I think the people that serve are heroes, and they're the best of the best. So I do thank you for your service. Let's talk a little bit about some policy stuff. Some stuff we might agree on, some stuff we might disagree on. My opinion on abortion is this. I am pro-choice. I am not for late-term abortion. I am not for women using abortion as birth control. I think that is disgusting. I think it's a personal decision between family members. What do you say about abortion?
I think your stance that you just described is more pro-life than you'll let on. People use these terms pro-life, pro-choice, and it puts us in these two far left, far right categories.
Right.
And the majority of America, they're not talking about these things when I'm knocking doors. By the way, when I'm talking to constituents across the district, they're not talking about somebody down the street that may or may not want an abortion and all these things. To your point and to your question, there is a bill that's been introduced into Congress a number of times. And by the way, I consider myself very pro-life. I'm a Christian, and that's my belief.
And I would never take that belief away from you.
Absolutely.
My problem is Republicans out there that want to force things on others. That's my issue.
No, and forcing stuff. Again, I go back to representing the populace.
Right.
Okay, and we can talk about marijuana in that regard in a little bit if you like.
Yep.
Because on the abortion issue, that I am pro-life, no question about it. There is a bill that has, again, been introduced a number of times called the Pain Capable Child Protection Act. Yep. It limits abortions from the federal level at 20 weeks. Okay? Many far-right folks, Christians, will tell you 20 weeks is too long. I happen to agree. However, the reality of it is, and I'm with you on the abortions being used as birth control, people just being not responsible for their actions, not a fan. Right? But I'm like you, I'm not interested.
20 weeks is long enough.
My gosh.
You better make that decision by then.
Thank you very much.
I'm with you on that.
And that bill also goes further, and I disagree with this portion of the bill. It includes incest and rape after 20 weeks. I might take that out. 20 weeks, I'm with you. 20 weeks is well long enough. And again, these are pro-life bills.
Sure.
Okay?
No, understood.
So yeah, I think we're closer to you may believe on that.
I think if you are raped or you're the victim of incest, you probably should make your decision before 4 weeks. So I'm with you on that. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
And I'll take it just one step further. Again, these are choices that people have to make. I wish we lived in a world where these crazy things didn't have to be answered, but we do. But when we go back to it in its purest form, we're talking about the sanctity of life. and
Yes.
and protecting
You believe
people.
it's right at conception.
I believe in the sanctity of life, and I believe that when a governor goes on a radio show and advocates for the death of a baby after it's born, we have a problem. We have a problem in this country. If a governor, a sitting governor, is doing those things, we have a problem. When a candidate for president stands in front of a gentleman and the gentleman asks him, "Hey, I was born at the 9-month mark, but you say it's okay if my mom wanted an abortion the day before I was born, that'd be okay." When Beto O'Rourke says yes to that question, we have a problem.
Yeah, I've never been a big Beto O'Rourke fan, but there's a reason why he's not on the stage right now. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Sam Peters, Republican for Congress, running in Nevada District 4. Okay, so I'm going to say this in general terms. Here's my problem with some. I'm not necessarily talking about you, but it's some people that call themselves pro-life. I feel like many Republicans, after the baby is born, they're not so pro-life. Here's what I mean by that. Many Republicans want to get people off of welfare. They want to stop food stamps. What about a mother that's struggling, that's making $9 an hour working somewhere? I don't agree with $15 an hour minimum wage, which is what Bernie Sanders is doing. However, I do think we could up the wages a little bit for at least the big businesses, not the small businesses, like the Walmart type of places. Again, my issue is it seems to me that the platform, why not free health care for all? So if you're pro-life, I want people to continue that pro-life stance, help families that are struggling. If they need welfare, keep them on welfare. If they need food stamps, put them on food stamps. But it seems like many Republicans are trying to cut some of those. Why is that?
Well, so it goes back to the personal responsibility. How long do we keep somebody on food stamps or on welfare? I mean, if we take the stance that if somebody's in need and they don't do stuff to promote themselves off of welfare, then we've got socialism in basics, right?
I hear you, but let me give you an example. A mother, a single mother, she has a couple kids.
Sure.
She has her GED. She got a high school education. She couldn't afford a college education. There's plenty of situations like that out there. Yeah. She's working a couple $10, $11 an hour jobs. She's working. She's not lazy. She's working 60 hours a week. She's making barely enough money to pay her bills, let alone put food on the table.
Right.
She needs food stamps. That's a perfect example, right? There's always going to be people that are going to exploit the system. There's no question about that. Okay, I would never deny that. Right. However, the majority of people, I believe, that are on welfare and food stamps need it. Would you agree with that?
If there's a need and somebody is they're unable to promote themselves off those, there's organizations that can step in and help them. So those options are available in our community.
It just comes down to defining the need.
It's defining the need, but then there's some personal responsibility in there. We all have choices, right? If I'm living in San Francisco and it's $3,000 a month for a studio apartment,
right,
I should probably move.
Well, that's true.
Let's be honest. So we have personal choices. It is not the federal government's position to take care of people. That is not our responsibility.
Fair enough. I want to open up the phone lines too. It's 702-257-5396. If you have a question for Sam Peters, now's the time to ask it. He's a Republican running for Congress, Nevada District 4, trying to get out Stephen Horsford. Again, that number to call 702-257-5396. So we had Lisa Sutton, who's one of many of your opponents, and when she came in studio, she gave her stance on abortion. And basically, she said there are extenuating circumstances, exceptions like rape and incest, even though she is pro-life. And your response to that, which I have right in front of me here, your response to that was, I wouldn't say it was a nice one, but you said that it sounds like a Mitt Romney answer. That's why he lost to Obama. I'll represent with leadership and not morphing. So explain that, because her response, and correct me if I'm wrong, seems to be the same response of Donald Trump. He feels the same way.
Yeah. So my comment was to the second comment that you didn't read.
Okay.
So she made that statement,
right?
And then she was asked by another person on Twitter, I think is what you're reading.
Correct.
She was asked by another person on Twitter, or said, you never defined your answer. And then,
to be fair, I read the wrong statement. You said, I came across Lisa Sutton defending her pro-choice stance on abortion as a Republican running for Congress against me. You said, sad. As a dad, I refuse to play politics with babies' lives. Yeah. So explain that.
Yes. So the initial statement was, I'm pro-life. And then the next statement was
extenuating circumstances.
Well, no, that actually, I believe that extenuating circumstances may have been in that first statement. But she went on in that second statement and started talking about the number of voters and the Democrat versus Republican, and we have to pick somebody that's going to be able to win the district. So it was a waffling type of response. So my response to that was, this is politics that are being played.
Right.
This is what we see from Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
And this is sad. That is absolutely what I said.
I do agree with you when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever talk about who's in your district. I think you should always be true to yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I do agree
And that
with
was
you.
my point.
I do agree with you when it comes to that sentiment. But I believe her stance is very similar to the president's stance. You disagree with the president's stance?
The president's stance on
abortion. Because he also says extenuating circumstances like rape, like incest.
I don't disagree with that at all. In fact, I said that earlier I after 20 weeks,
Fair enough.
after 20 weeks, and like we said, we agree. There has to be a decision process earlier than life can occur.
And we agree. And
right?
but we agree on the 20 week thing.
Right.
I think,
and I'm not wavering on any of that.
Fair enough.
But again, I will have to go back to these are important issues, no question about it.
Absolutely.
They're not what Nevadans are talking about. And I'm traveling this district extensively. I'm doing town halls. I'm doing all of these things.
Well, let's see what Nevadans want to talk about.
Let's do it.
I've opened up the phone lines at 702-257-5396. Question or comment for Sam Peters. Let's start off with Paul. Paul, you are first up on the Vegas Take. You're on with Sam Peters. Go ahead.
What's up, Paul?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Good.
I have a question. This is one of my biggest issues with, especially the Democratic candidates, are reparations for illegal aliens. Because in my mind, if you're going to give reparations for illegal aliens who are separated from their children, we have to go and find every American that was ever arrested for trespassing and burglary and give them reparations as well. What's your opinion?
My opinion is we will never, while I'm a congressman, I will never vote for reparations or extra services for illegal immigrants before veterans are being taken care of. We have incredible issues in our country right now with veterans that are homeless, veterans that are taking their own lives because they're trying to deal with their PTSD issues and other medical issues after serving their country, and we're talking about, and the Democrats are talking about taking care of illegal immigrants. In fact, they just put forward this New Way Forward Act that would make it illegal for the federal government to deport violent criminals and actually goes retroactive. So we'd have to bring those illegal immigrants that we did deport, we'd have to bring them back. This is crazy. It's crazy.
I think that is crazy. I don't agree with illegals having credit cards and having driver's licenses, but I do want to ask you an important question about your district, right?
Yeah.
You have thousands of Dreamers and DACA recipients in District 4, so what do you plan to do with them if you win?
So DACA, is immigrants that are in this country and being respectful of our laws. So Dreamers, you're talking about people who came to the country while they were minors. They didn't have control of this.
Correct.
So there needs to be a direction for them. No question about it. I met a young man in Yerington who's 20 years old, and I met his football coach in high school. He's 20 years old now. He's out of and he met me, and he came right up and said hello, and he said, "I'm a Dreamer." And I said, "Well, how long have you been here?" He said, since I was 4 years old." I said, "You're an American, dude. I mean, that's reality."
You want them to get a pathway to citizenship.
So we got to go back to illegal immigration being illegal. We got to make sure that illegal immigrants who are here illegally on their own fruition are gone. We got to get them out,
even if they have kids.
So illegal immigrants. It goes back to my earlier statement about personal responsibility.
I understand, but I'm trying to give you a certain situation. Somebody comes to this country 20 years ago illegally. They're still illegal. They're married, or they have a girlfriend, whatever the case may be. They have a family here. They have kids.
Sure.
You just want to immediately kick them out, even though they've never been convicted of a felony. They've never committed a crime.
I never said.
Well, I'm just trying to get your.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Hey, so all of these, again, we're making broad brush blanket statements, which is not what I'm talking about. All of these things, obviously. It's gone on for far too long. First of all, we've had every president in the last 3 administrations at least talk about this at State of the Union address and then do nothing. Okay? President Trump he's trying his hardest to go down this road of correcting these problems. And the problems are deep, no question about it. We've got to build a wall. We've got to stop the inflow, and then we got to start addressing those issues of getting people out of here. We got to get rid of the illegals that are violent criminals and all those first, and then we got to start one by one going down this road that you're talking.
And I don't think Brian was making a broad brush statement. I think he was basically creating a hypothetical situation. If you've got let's say a 47-year-old illegal immigrant who's been here for 25 years, totally illegally, but has 4 kids, and they're 9, 13, 15, and 17. What should happen to him and his family and his wife?
Okay, so again, those are one-offs, right? All of these are one-offs,
right?
And we have to create an example. The federal government. I talk about personal accountability. The federal government has some accountability in this as well. We've created a system that has created these problems, and the federal government's responsible for fixing them at this point. In my opinion,
I understand.
So specifically to your question,
yeah.
They're one-offs. We have to address them one by one.
Let's say that he's gainfully employed.
Am I looking to deport minor children that are
families,
families that were born here that have
Good.
no control? No, of course not.
I'm happy to hear you say that. That's all I was trying to get. 257-5396, the number to call. A lot of people waiting on hold. Yeah. Let's go to Tim. Tim, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Tim, you're on with Sam Peters. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Tim?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Go ahead, Tim.
So basically, my question is a comment, an opinion, and basically the food stamps issue is basically, yes, anybody, I'm not saying anybody can get food stamps, but there are hardworking people who are making low end, having to work multiple jobs and whatnot to make ends meet. But what happens is, like I say, the people that abuse the power, out there, you have people that are just too lazy to go get a job.
Well,
but they are willing to work.
I agree.
But what can we do to give deeper background checks?
Good question.
Drug tests.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah, good question, Sam. I'll let Sam answer that, and thank you for the call, Tim.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tim.
All right.
Yeah, so no, what can we do? The deeper, background checks, and we can go into a person's history and see what their work history is, if they are really in need, and people that are abusing it should be cut off. And
I agree.
There has to be an impetus for them to grow. And sometimes it's a hard decision, and it's not a pretty one. Sometimes to the point of. Drug tests, absolutely.
See, I thought we might agree with more things than we disagree on. We're making progress here. Let's go to James. James, you're next up on the Vegas Take. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind? You're on with Sam Peters.
Good morning.
Hey, James.
Hey, I'd like to say, for one, I sent in $50 to this gentleman's account. The first time I've ever done that because I think this election is important, and I pretty much feel exactly the same as what Sam is saying. The one point I want to make about personal responsibility, I feel I am pro-choice. But I understand why can't they make the choice before they have sex? How many contraceptives are there out there? I mean, I understand there's accidents, but 99.9% of, the pregnancies that are terminated, they're using that as birth control, and that I'm against.
Okay, well, there are accidents out there, and I can tell you personally, from my perspective, no, I've never had to deal with that, but I just had a friend of mine, her son, 17 years old, just impregnated his girlfriend at 17. I remember when I was 17, I could have easily made that mistake. Guess what? He didn't love her. They both families agreed that abortion was the best way to go. They got it done. It's a difficult situation. Nobody ever wants to go through that, but guess what? They did it, and I would never have been comfortable with the government saying to force that woman or that child, 17-year-old, to have a baby.
And I totally agree with that.
And exactly. And hey, we've all been young.
Of course.
I don't have any children. I was as careful as I can be. But, yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, see, Kevin, we agree on more than we disagree. That's what me and Sam, right? Would you agree with my sentiment there?
Yeah, I do. It's all circumstantial. And the decisions, while I'm a pro-life guy.
Right.
And, I think the decision is, like you said, it's between the woman and the man. It's between their family, their clergy.
But there are people on the right that are
especially at 17 when they're both minors.
But I've talked to a lot of people on the right that have more extreme views
Brian,
than you.
Agreed. You mentioned on the right, but based on this conversation, I think you're a Republican.
That's where I'm telling him. I told him he's pro-life.
You are coming out of the Republican closet right now.
Well,
Brian.
I just said there are situations where an abortion
is bringing the true Brian Shapiro to life.
Well,
and that's what I do. I bring people together.
We'll talk about Trump. Coming up next,
I hope we do.
We will talk about Trump, but let's take some more phone calls. A lot of people want to ask you some questions. Sam Peters, Republican for Congress, running Nevada District 4, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, you're next on the Vegas Take. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
I think we
Kevin,
got the wrong. I think we got Alex. Alex, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Brian. Hey, listen, you know what? Brian, if you run, I just might vote for you. I can't believe some of the opinions you're holding. I'm shocked and really, really surprised. Here's the thing. I hope Sam wins.
Thank you.
I think Horsford is horrible on the immigration situation regarding the DACA, the young people. they should definitely be given some sort of legal status. But I don't believe anybody that came in here illegally should ever get access for U.S. citizenship until maybe another 10 years. You can't just automatically give them a road to citizenship because you're rewarding the parents and who knows how many other people that were breaking
the law. Well, Alex, hang on the line. Alex, hang on the line here. Let's let Sam respond to that. Go ahead, Sam.
And I'm Hispanic, by the way.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Alex. And I'll tell you, the Hispanics that I've talked to, and I've talked to many of them, hold a very similar thought to you. And the question I have for the DACA question, a question and response is, these folks have known they've been in this country undocumented, call it illegally, but not by their own fruition. What steps have they taken to become citizens? Mm-hmm. Again, back to personal responsibility. This is not, the federal government is not responsible for what happens every day in your life and feeding your children and doing these things. You have to have some personal responsibility, and that's where we're at.
And that's a good point. Now,
I agree. I agree with you 100% with what you said, and personal responsibility regarding the abortion situation and the welfare. I believe that if a young lady gets pregnant and is not married, and even if she were married, and asked for the federal government or the state for food stamps, WIC, and all the assistance that is provided, I honestly believe that the first thing that the government should require is that the young lady say, who's the father of the baby, and go after the father. Doesn't matter if they're married or not, and force him to contribute.
Well, I agree. Alex,
has got to be responsibility here.
Yeah, Alex.
And before I go,
yes,
Brian,
go ahead.
Run. Maybe I might vote for you.
Not in CD4. We got enough.
I'm not running for office anytime soon. You're not going to see any bald, pasty white guy running for office in Las Vegas. 257-5396, the number to call. JD, you had a question.
Yeah. So Sam, you are a decorated military veteran. With this new homeless ordinance that was passed by Mayor Carolyn Goodman, you mentioned how a lot of the homeless happen to be military veterans. Under the circumstances that, let's say, a military veteran gets thrown in jail for living on the street and actually having the ability to stay in a homeless shelter, which is what the rule is based on, do you think that a veteran should be treated differently under those circumstances?
I think there's services, and there should be services for veterans that are specific to veterans.
Just I'm talking the ordinance that was passed just in Las Vegas.
I understand. And the circumstance you gave me was if a veteran is homeless on the street and there's no beds available, should that veteran be arrested?
There are beds available, but they're choosing not to go to those beds, and they get arrested and they get fined $1,000. Should they be treated differently?
It's got to go back to personal choice. I would tell you that there is a veterans court here in Clark County as well that's done a great job working with veterans. And I think veterans, there are services that are available to veterans that are not available to otherwise homeless people. So the VA should be involved in that process. But again, as a veteran myself, I have to follow the law also. And if there's beds available and I choose to not use the beds but sleep in a public place,
then that's on you.
That's on me.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's try to. Do we have enough time to squeeze in one more call? Let's go before we take a break. Let's go to Kevin. Kevin, you've been waiting very patiently on hold. You are on with Sam Peters. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Hey guys. Yeah, I was just wondering how would you go about with you were saying that the food stamp. As far as people's personal responsibility, what is your stance on as far as how do you get people off food stamps? Would you just purge the whole system, or
gotcha?
Do you take into account?
So how would you deal with the food stamp issue if some people are taking advantage of it? How would you do that?
Well, I mean, you got to identify those that are taking advantage of it, right? So those that are taking advantage of it, you're breaking the law. You lose the entitlement. I mean, you break the law. There's consequences.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So
I agree.
I'm not a person that's just going to go in and say, you know what, no more entitlements, get rid of it all. That's not Sam Peters. So again, these are case by case things, and people that are on food stamps temporarily, it's just like the unemployment scenario. If you lose your job, you're on unemployment for a period of time. The state of Nevada doesn't give you unemployment forever.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Sam has been kind enough to stick around for one more short segment. So coming back, we're going to take more of your phone calls. I know there's some people on hold, 702-257-5396. I also want to ask you your thoughts on Donald Trump, why I dislike Donald Trump, why you like Donald Trump. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. We'll be right back with Sam Peters, Republican running for Congress, Nevada District 4. We will take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, coming up in hour number 3, we'll be speaking with Ben Maselis. He is the lawyer for a Major League Baseball pitcher suing the Houston Astros. Boy, that's going to be interesting. And then Kid Poker, Daniel Negreanu, is going to be joining us. Andrew Yang is going to be visiting him at his house today, I believe. We'll talk a little bit about that. As you know, Yang just dropped out of the race. But he is Sam Peters. He's a Republican running for Congress for Nevada District 4, and he joins us in studio, kind enough to stick around for another segment. Sam, we appreciate that. Why don't we take a few more quick phone calls, then I want to get to some other issues, including Donald Trump. I don't know if there are some things going on with Donald Trump lately. We'll get to that.
We never talk about Donald Trump.
No, we would never do that.
I'm so happy we can finally discuss Donald Trump just once on this show.
We would never do that. Let's go to Jackson, who's been waiting patiently on hold. You are on with Sam Peters. Jackson, what's your question?
Hey, what's up, Jackson?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Going well.
So you said something about food stamps and Medicaid being socialist, which I totally agree with. But what about tax cuts and tax subsidies? Are those considered socialism?
You're on. Go ahead.
There I am. Tax cuts. So again, I'm a Republican, so I believe in lower taxes. I wouldn't consider that a socialist stance at all. In fact, if you go the other direction, if we look at Bernie Sanders' platform of 70% tax rates for his socialist platform, the reality is on his plan, 70% is not enough, not even close.
Yeah.
So.
Fair enough. I appreciate the call, Jackson. Thank you.
Good call, Jackson.
We don't have a lot of time here. We're pressed for time, so I want to give you my thoughts on Donald Trump and then get your thoughts on it. I just think he's a bad guy. I've called him a scumbag on this air time and time again. Yes, unemployment is down. Yes, the economy is doing okay. The reason why I don't say it's doing great, because I personally believe, and if you look at the facts, people that are wealthy people are benefiting the most. Yes, unemployment numbers are down, but there are a lot of people that are working multiple jobs.
But you're also not considering the fact that the major cities have really, really expensive real estate markets.
Well, let me just finish my thought in saying this, and that is that there are a lot of people that are working multiple jobs that are not working livable salaries. So while, yes, unemployment numbers are down, which is a good thing, and yes, the stock market's doing good, I don't think that is an excuse to go after women based on looks. I don't think that's an excuse to go after John McCain. You served, Sam, so I would imagine you were offended, at least I hope you were, when Donald Trump said, I don't respect John McCain because he was captured. When you go after Nancy Pelosi's teeth, I've said if he isn't on Twitter, his approval rating would probably be 90%. So that's my reasoning of why I don't like Donald Trump, because I just think he's a horrible guy. As a Republican running for office, what do you say?
President Trump has, like you said, done an incredible job on a number of fronts, and he has done so in the face of incredible adversity through Congress. And just the media has attacked him relentlessly hours after he was inaugurated. And the reality is, he is trying to do a lot for America that is making a lot of lives across this country much, much better. The personal things, and I hear it across the district when I'm visiting voters, just like you said. They don't like his tweets. They don't like some of the things he said. But the reality is, he's trying to do what he can for the country, and he's going after the progress that you mentioned, the unemployment, the manufacturing. I think Obama. It was said by Obama that he'd have to be a magician to bring back manufacturing. Give him a wand, because he's done it. I mean, seriously. My question is, what do we ask these questions of Obama when he lied about Benghazi? Do we ask these questions of Clinton?
There were 9 Republican investigations into Benghazi. I don't understand.
Okay, so there were
9 investigations led by the Republicans that found no wrongdoing.
What about the $1.5 billion that went to Iran?
That was frozen.
Obama?
That was frozen assets.
Sure,
Sam, you're going to hear it till 1 o'clock.
What do you mean? Sure. No, but I'm confused. It's not like he just handed out $1.5 billion. Those were frozen assets
to a terrorist state.
You could make that argument, but they were frozen assets.
I am making that argument.
You can make that argument, but they were frozen assets.
And as a country and as an American taxpayer, my federal government giving $1.5 billion of frozen money that we had control of back to. Hang on, let me finish, please.
Yeah.
If we're giving this money that we had frozen, we knowingly give it back to a terrorist state that has a gentleman named Qasem Soleimani that's killing Americans, and at the same time, our president gives that terrorist state $1.5 billion, that's okay? I don't think so. I don't think so.
For the record, I don't agree with what he did, and I've said that on this show before, but here's what I also don't agree with. Withholding aid to a foreign country to try to dig up dirt on political opponents.
They got the aid.
I understand they got the aid, but that still doesn't mean he didn't commit a crime. He did withhold the aid, and according to John Bolton's book that's going to be coming out.
Apparently he had the intentions to withhold the aid.
So here's my thing.
Has that book been released?
Some of your fellow...
I don't think that book's out yet.
Well, Bolton hasn't testified either.
It was the first manuscript.
But Bolton hasn't testified either, and you of all people would know.
It's conjecture at this point. Let's agree on that.
No, I don't think so, because there are Republicans that actually voted not guilty but admit that he did withhold the aid. And there are people that testified, including people that have shrapnel on their body that have served this country honorably that were just escorted out of the White House. So while I get your point about Benghazi, I didn't vote for Obama. And make no mistake about it, he was not a perfect president. I think he was a decent man, a good husband, and a good father. I would not say that about Donald Trump. Yeah. Well, I mean, why is he not a good father and a good husband?
I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying
why is that arguable?
Because you're making a personal opinion about an individual, and some people have other opinions.
Well, somebody
that would make it arguable.
Well, okay. Well, the reason
I'm not here. I just want to be clear. I'm not here to defend President Trump, and I'm not here to make an argument against Obama. I'm running against Stephen Horsford for Congress.
I do understand that, but a lot of people in the district certainly want your opinions on some of the national issues. So I think it's fair for me to ask you that. And the reason why I say Donald Trump is not the man that Obama is because when you have unprotected sex with a porn star a few months after your wife has a child, I can't recall Obama ever doing anything like that, and that's the only reason why I make that distinction. And again, the reason why it's usually got nothing to do with policy when it comes to Trump for me.
I agree.
It's just a personal thing.
Yeah, and this is a person, and I'm glad you made that point, because it is a personal thing.
Right.
And the reality is that the position that I'm running for, Congress District 4, the people in Congressional District 4 are not talking about this when I'm knocking on doors, when I'm hosting town halls, when I'm on,
I understand that.
They're not talking about
Are they talking about gun control?
Trump. They're talking about gun control, absolutely.
So let's talk about. We only have a few more minutes left. Ben, I can talk with you forever.
I know. Let's do it.
I appreciate it. This is fun. So let's talk a little bit about gun control. As you know, living here in Las Vegas, Sam, it's to our heart. 59 people losing their lives on October 1. Yep. Donald Trump did talk tough on guns. After that, as he's talked tough on guns, plenty of times after these shootings happen.
Yeah.
Nothing really has been done, and there's a lot of bills that are sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk, and I have an issue with that. I want everyone to be able to protect themselves. I'm not what a Republican would call a gun grabber. I think everyone has the right to protect themselves. I just think there are specific weapons that shouldn't be sold. I think there's a lot of different issues. Red flag laws should be put into place in certain situations, and mental illness is a big problem. What do you say?
I say mental illness is a significant problem and needs to be addressed on whole. Your question about gun control, my question on the bills that are sitting on Mitch McConnell's desks, I would ask how many of those bills would actually take a firearm out of a criminal's hand?
Well, we're not.
I honestly, I believe it's zero. And now to red flag, that is a significant issue here in Nevada and in Congressional District 4.
Yep.
The stats are about 47% of Nevadans own firearms, and we're talking about a red flag law that says I can look sourly at JD. He can call a police officer and say Sam's got a gun, and I'm afraid.
Well, I don't agree with that. That's ridiculous.
Well, agreed, and that's what the premise of a red flag law. And the red flag law is, in my opinion, it's a Democrat policy to play a political game to show they have a solution. It's not a solution.
So let me ask you, Kamala Harris.
It's not a solution.
So let me ask you a question, and I know you only got a couple more minutes here. Let me ask you another question. Let's just say, God forbid, your wife is working somewhere and somebody in that business threatens her life, says they're going to kill her the next day. She calls the police. The police come there. Maybe the guy's arrested. We all know what's going to happen there. You threaten somebody's life. If he doesn't have anything in his past, or they're probably going to let him out in an hour or two. Are you comfortable with that guy who just threatened the life of your wife legally purchasing a gun that same day?
So there's background checks in place right now. And if he's got something on his record, he's going to be denied the purchase of the firearm. So that has nothing to do with red flag laws. And my wife's armed. So I believe in having the right to protect yourself. I don't believe in the right of a government to disarm somebody without due process.
Even if you threaten somebody's life, you want due process.
So I spent 10 years in law enforcement. If somebody's threatening my life and there's intent and probable cause and all those things, he's not going to be out in 2 hours. I'm comfortable with that.
But when he does get out, if it's a day or two, he will legally be able to purchase a gun in most states in this country.
While he's facing an indictment and all those things, I don't believe that to be the case.
If somebody threatens somebody's life, I've heard about these situations where they've gotten out of jail. And listen,
there's 300 million people in the country, and I'm sure there's one-off situations where that has occurred. I'm not a fan of it, of course not. But I'm not going to take the firearms away from 300 million people.
Well, nobody wants that
because one knucklehead made a threat.
Nobody wants that. But I do think there's more than one threat per day on someone's life,
Sure.
and I think we need to do something about that.
We're talking about a very specific circumstance, and I will defend all day long Nevadans' right for the right to bear arms and the Second Amendment.
What about the guns that are being used in these mass shootings, weapons of war, like the shooting here in Las Vegas that killed 59 people?
So the weapons of war you're talking about semi-automatic weapons.
The weapons that have been used in Texas, El Paso, the weapons that were used in Las Vegas that killed 59 people, those specific types of weapons.
He's talking about AR-15s.
I know. I got it. Yeah. I have no problem with people, you and JD or I or anybody owning an AR-15. I have no problem with that.
The problem is there are people out there that not like us that want to execute and kill people, and those guns were designed, many of them, to kill as many people as possible in a short period of time.
Well, the mechanism for an AR-15 and the mechanism for a 9mm Beretta semi-automatic, the mechanism's fairly similar. I a lot of people see the shape or the likeliness of an AR-15 versus what our Marines and airmen and stuff are carrying over in Iraq, and they put those two together.
So what's your solution? So what's your solution? How do we stop these mass shootings?
We have to address a number of things. We have to address mental illness. We have to address the opioid epidemic and drugs and all of those things. We have to identify.
There's a lot of different issues.
And more than that, I'm a constitutional carry person. I don't believe that. I think the Second Amendment gives me the right to carry a firearm when I want to. I don't think I should have to register with the federal government. Now, again, there are already background checks in place to buy a firearm. This misnomer of universal background checks is another.
So you have to re-register your car all the time and get a smog check on your car. Why not do the same thing with a weapon?
Because the Second Amendment tells me that I can carry a weapon to defend myself, and that's my belief. Now, you're going into a completely different realm on a car and a registration and raising taxes to pay for roads.
Car can be used as a deadly weapon.
It absolutely can. Are we going to take away everybody's car?
No, but you have to re-register your car and get a smog check and make sure it's safe on the roadway. Shouldn't we make sure that people that are buying guns haven't had mental problems happen to them since the last time they bought a weapon?
We have to address the mental illness problem
That's all
in
I'm
America.
Asking.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. But again, the Second Amendment is an absolute issue here. I am actively fighting with Nevadans cans about the red flag law and the lawsuit that's been put on against it.
And for the record, I want responsible people to be able to purchase guns and to be able to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
I think we might disagree a little bit on the types of guns, but I think our premise is correct. Now, you're going to kill me because it's 10:45, and I know you got to get out of here. And by the way, this is a great conversation. I hope we can do it again sometime. But before I let you go, I want you to be able to give out your website, give out the information. If people want to be a part of your campaign, how do they do that?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So first of all, Jim, thank you for the donation. This is the first time on a radio show somebody's actually called in and said, hey, I just gave you money. So thank you for that, Jim. And that is an absolute option for anybody. If you want to go to sampeters4congress.com, that's Sam Peters, the number 4, congress.com. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Sam Peters, Nevada. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And JD and Brian, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
And I wish you the best of luck. And if you do win, I want you to be able to get in here with Stephen Horsford and have a debate with him. Would you be willing to do that?
I've already challenged him to a debate. He said he's been vacant, and I'd love to do it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Sam. We appreciate it. He's Sam Peters. We'll take a quick break.
Thanks,
be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. It's amazing because after interviewing Sam Peters, everybody's now calling me a Republican, which I'm not, JD. That's offensive. You're offending me. I'm not a Republican.
I think that you have a lot of Republican tendencies, but you are just
for the death penalty.
You're just a certified Trump hater.
I am for the death penalty.
But you're not a Democrat or a Republican. But I think you're more Republican than you'd like to admit and let on.
I'm for personal accountability and personal responsibility. With that being said, there are a lot of hardships out there. We need to take care of people. Number 2, yes, I am for the death penalty. I have always been for the death penalty. Always. I agreed with George W. Bush when it came to that. And yes, I do think we need to secure our borders, but here's my issue. And he was I'm not going to say he was wishy-washy on it. He did answer all the questions, and he was honest about it. And I was happy to hear him say that, yes, he doesn't want to deport kids. But if you're an adult, if you're an adult living in this country, okay, and you've been here for a while, you've never committed a crime, you have no rap sheet, you're paying taxes, and you're an illegal, I am not comfortable with deporting that person.
But why don't you have a green card? Why haven't you tried to get a green card? Why if you're like the example I gave him, if you're 47 years old, you've been here for 25 years, you've got 4 kids, and you've made no effort at all to get a green card?
It's a case.
Why would you not do that?
Here's the deal. It's a case-by-case basis, especially now. A lot of people are in fear that they're going to be deported if anybody finds out that they're illegal. That's number one. Number two, it costs money and it takes a lot of time. It's a difficult process, and some people just haven't done it. So here's the thing.
They just haven't done it in 25 years.
Well, here's how I feel about
decades.
that. Here's how I feel about that. If politicians on the left and the right want to put something into place where if we find you in this country and you're illegal, but you've never committed a crime, make no mistake about it. If you commit any crime, that's it. You're gone. Never come back. Lock away the key. Do whatever you want to do with them. But if you're somebody that pays taxes, that's a good person, never committed a crime and while you've been in this country, however, you have been illegal, especially if you have a family, there has to be some sort of pathway to citizenship. Now, if you want to force them to do it or say you have a year to start the process or we're going to deport you, that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
I agree with giving them not a year, 6 months.
Whatever the case may be.
3 to 6 months.
Then put that policy into place.
To at least start the process.
Then put that policy into place.
If you've committed 0 crimes whatsoever and you are considered a law-abiding productive citizen to the United States of America,
also okay
despite
with
the fact that you are technically illegal.
I'm also okay with ankle bracelets, even though, let's face it, if you're in this country illegally, you are a criminal. Put an ankle bracelet on them so you know where they are, especially those that come into this country with a visa. Now, I find many Republicans don't...
What about a microchip in their finger?
Okay, well, hold on. I find a lot of...
Why can't we just all be robots?
I find a lot of Republicans don't want to talk about the majority of the illegals that are in this country are not ones that are crossing the border illegally. They're actually the ones that overstay their visas. So I believe if you're going to come into this country and you have a visa, I have no problem putting a bracelet or something on you so that we can monitor you. That's also a huge problem.
And again, you have 6 months to renew your visa. You have 180 days to renew your visa. Why would you not even try to do it in that time frame if your life is so much better here than it was in your home country? There's got to be some ulterior motive there. I think that's...
Well, I think you're making an assumption about everybody.
No, I'm not. If you know that you are an illegal citizen and you have a green card and you decide not to renew your visa for 6 months, okay, a couple weeks, fine. A month, fine. 6 months? There's a reason for that. There's a reason you're choosing to be under the radar.
You're making an assumption. While maybe most people are in that situation, not all. There are extenuating circumstances.
They can't take an Uber to wherever they have to go.
People could be sick.
They can't go on the internet.
People could be sick. They could be ill. You don't know their family situation. There are issues that it's a case by case basis.
Exactly, of course.
Okay. Well, right. I don't like generalizations about everybody.
There can't be
can I just say this?
There can't be something all encompassing. It has to be based on each individual circumstance.
I agree, but that is not President Trump and his policymakers like the Stephen Millers of the world, okay? When Donald Trump talks about illegals and he says these Mexicans, they're crossing our border, they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people, that is a dangerous thing to say. It is a lie, and it's not right. If he really, truly cares, then get together with Democrats and put some policies in place that will work, that will give them a pathway to citizenship. Let's try to sneak in a quick call here at 702-257-5396. Let's go to Mike. Mike, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Brian, you said a second ago that illegals pay taxes. Illegals don't pay taxes.
That's not true. Some of them do. That's not true. Some of them do pay taxes. That's not true.
They don't have jobs. They can't get a job.
That's not true. Your own president, Donald Trump, has hired illegals in the past, so that's completely not true.
No, he has not.
Yes, he has. He's hired. Are you telling me Donald? Hold on. Did you not hear the news last year that Donald Trump had hired illegals to work at his golf club? You didn't hear that? They pay taxes.
I didn't hear that.
Okay, well, that's a fact. It's true.
You can't get a job. How can you get a job if you're illegal?
Mike, here's what I want you to do, Mike, okay? Okay, Mike, here's what I want you to do. When you get off this phone call, if you have access to the internet, go ahead and Google Donald Trump hiring illegals. You will see hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of articles that prove that he has hired illegals in the past. And that means they have also paid taxes. It is very, 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 that's just, Mike, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do that for me. Mike, I want you to do that for me, okay? and then I want you to call back tomorrow. And if you think I'm wrong, please call back tomorrow. But it's a fact that he hired illegals. Let's go. Let's see. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Rick. Rick, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, let me explain to you why somebody who's been here for 25 years and hasn't done anything wrong other than enter the country illegally. And the problem is why you can't get a green card is because there's a 10-year ban. Once you've been in the country over a year, there is a 10-year ban. So
well,
if
that's a
you
problem.
try to get your green card, you're kicked out of the country for at least 10 years.
JD, there's your answer. There's your answer. If that is true, which it probably is, and I believe, Rick, then we need to come up with a better system that could give these people an incentive.
So you're saying that if you're here for more than a year and you don't get your green card, you cannot – let's say you're here for 5 years and you've got a family and you're a productive member of society and you have no green card and you try to apply for a green card, you get deported and you can't come back for a decade?
That's right. It's a 10-year ban.
Well, Rick, I think we all agree
that sounds completely unreasonable.
I think we all agree, Rick. Then the laws need to change in this country.
Clearly.
There's no question about that.
Good call, Rick.
Yeah,
702. I hope what he's saying isn't true.
Well, I don't know. We'll find out. 702-257.
I've never heard of that.
5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, I got about 30 seconds for you. Go ahead.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, so first of all, I got nothing at all against the Hispanic culture. I'm actually a conservative, and the Dreamers thing. They were all babies and kids, so you can't penalize them for that. But we still need to have a secure border. We need to have reasonable immigration laws.
Sure.
And we just can't keep leaving the door open.
I agree.
As far as the whole path to citizenship, I think there should be a path to legalization, but to make somebody who came in illegal 15 years ago, to allow them to have Social Security and all the benefits.
Well, no, not immediately. I'm Mike, I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying anybody who is in this country illegally who wants to become a citizen should be able to go through the same steps that others did legally. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we can't take the shortcuts because that just penalizes all the people that did it the right way.
I don't want a shortcut. I just want them, if they're good, reasonable people that did break the law and came into this country illegally, all I'm advocating for is give them a pathway to citizenship, give them an opportunity to get that green card to become an American. That's simply all I'm asking for, and I think that's fair. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, JD, and when we come back, this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be interesting. We all know the Houston Astros scandal, the cheating scandal, right? Stealing signs. Well, now there's a professional pitcher by the name of Mike Bolsinger. He is now suing the Houston Astros. His attorney will be joining us next. What type of precedents does this set? Take a quick break. Be back right after this with Ben. You're listening to The Vegas Take.